Hey guys, welcome to the round 4 analysis video of the 2020 Morelands Motocross Under the Lights series. So first I'd like to apologize for this video taking so long to get out. I just had a very busy week, so I haven't been able to actually sit down and record the analysis video. It's actually Friday, the day before round 5 when I'm recording this. So yeah, round 4 was a pretty crazy day all around. Not really super crazy for me, but pretty crazy for other people, and I'll talk about all that. So firstly, I didn't even think I was going to be able to race because I had a slowly leaking rear tire. Went over to my dad's and we were going to swap it out. I had a new tube. And then we noticed that my rear tire was cracked, my rear rim. So I was like, I wonder if the front tire is too. And sure enough, the front tire was cracked as well. So I figured I'm done, but luckily, one of my good friends, Keith Duringer, actually had an extra set of wheels that he's willing to let me use, so I was actually able to race, so big thank you to him. So yeah, once we got up there and we got the wheels swapped over, I was pretty much set to go. Bike was running great, and I didn't have any issues. So that takes us into the first practice session. We were sitting there on the line getting ready to take off, and Mark let the other side go off first, so whatever, I'd be one of the last few guys to take off. And then my bike stalled, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to be the last guy. I got it refired up, and the guy on the Cowie there, he was the guy that I had issues with a couple rounds ago and battled with at round 3, and he was doing like a practice start. So we were the last two to take off, and I was right behind him. And on the first lap of practice, for some reason, the grandstand triple was built up quite a bit more than normal. We both sent it on the first lap, which in hindsight was not the smartest thing to do. And we both overshot it pretty bad, except he overshot it a lot worse. He brake tapped over it and ended up landing like this. And I'm pretty sure when he did that, he snapped his wrist. And so therefore he had no control. He just went flying off the track. And I was right behind him, so I got it all on GoPro. So that was a pretty sketchy start to the day. So I wanted to say that I hope that he's okay if he's watching this or anything. I saw that happen. That was really scary. And I know that he broke his wrist after talking to the paramedics, but I hope he has a quick recovery time. And then at the end of the practice sessions, they have a second practice where you can like go out if you have 2 classes, but you only were able to practice once. So Keith actually let me ride his 2019 FC 250 just to see what the Husky was like. So I took it out for a couple laps, and so I actually was able to ride that. I was trying to get Adam to hit the triple since it was so built up, but he wasn't going for it. So that brings us to our first motos. So this week it was a little bit different. They had 14 plus going first. I think it was like race number 2 or something. But they were actually lining up with the Open A guys, which that guy in the Cowie was supposed to race Open A and 250A, but since he was broken, there was only one other Open A rider. So I actually got to race against the Open A guy in the 14 plus class. But other than the Open A guy, there is another guy, number 17, Brock Wilson, who is an Open B rider, but he's really fast, and he was in 14 plus also. I ended up battling with him in pretty much all of my races. But he started in front of me in that race. Actually, he and the Open A rider both started in front of me, and I was able to get around the Open A rider pretty quick, but then I was sticking behind Brock for a few laps until eventually, I don't know if he like made a mistake or checked up a little bit, but I was able to shoot around the outside of him after the finish line there. And then for some reason that race was 5 laps instead of 4. And I was kind of getting arm pumped, so I just backed it down and just rode it home. Was able to take home the win in that 14 plus Moto 1. So then we got to 250A, Moto 1, and the 250A guys were also dropping with a couple of the age classes, I think 35 plus and 45 plus. Also the Open B, so Brock was in it, and then also 250B, which was Adam. So it was quite a few classes, but all the classes were pretty low in number. And since the Cowie guy was out, I was the only 250A rider, so I was basically guaranteed to win. But I mean, I'm the A rider. I still want to beat all of the B riders. So we started off, I actually got a terrible start. I remember in that moto because there was a Cowie next to me who like jumped the gate, and it made me flinch and actually knock my gate over forward. So I was almost dead last coming out of the gate. But I was able to make some quick passes to get around. And then the Cowie rider that actually made me jump was running up in second. and I got really close to him when I passed. I actually yelled sorry at the guy when I got so close because I didn't want to. And by this point, Brock had gotten the whole shot, so he had a decent gap on me. So I just started charging. I was just trying to stay smooth, try to ride as fast as I can, and I was eventually able to catch up to him on the last lap, but I had to really push to do that, and made a decent squared up pass on him. I just kind of cut under him and got kind of close to him too and said sorry again. And he knew that I wasn't in his class, so I'm pretty sure he didn't put up much of a fight because he knew that. But I was chatting to him afterwards. He was telling me, no, that's fine. So there were no hard feelings with how I passed him there. But yeah, it felt pretty good. I was able to keep the win streak alive, even though I got that atrocious start. So then we got to 14 plus Moto 2. And this is probably my worst moto of the night. I was able to actually get a decent start. I started pretty much right behind Brock, and then I made a mistake, kind of lost my rhythm. But by the end of the moto, I was charging again and was doing everything I could to try to either pass Brock or get around him or something. And of course, he was in 14 plus with me, so I was actually battling for the overall with him. And I tried to do a similar move to what I did in the 250A Moto 1, but he was prepared for that and I wasn't quite close enough. Looking back, I should have tried a couple different lines, but hindsight is 2020. So I was unfortunately unable to get around Brock, so my win streak did die. So he did win the 14 plus overall, so I actually got second overall in 14 plus, but that was a very fun battle. I was still okay with how I rode, even though I didn't win. So that brings us to the last moto of the night, 250A Moto 2, which was probably the most hectic race. Not for me per se, but from Adam's point of view. So it was my best start of the night. Brock got a bad start, so I was right behind a different Cowie, got around him really quick, and was just kind of flowing. Brock was a decent ways behind me, so I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to just take the win in that one. But then I come around the second lap to the big double, and there's medicals waving and whatnot. And then I do a couple more turns, and then I see that there's the red flag. So I realized, oh man, somebody went down pretty hard. And as I turned around that corner, I looked over at the big double landing and noticed that Adam's bike was leaning up against the landing. So at that point, I just was like, shoot. I knew that Adam went down pretty hard, and he was actually knocked silly. But he wasn't quite knocked unconscious, but he hit his head really hard. What happened was another Cowie rider, they got to the top of the double, and the Cowie rider kind of cross-jumped into Adam. And Adam went like on him and then slammed into the ground, and then he got ran into by a guy behind him that had nowhere to go. And when he got ran into like that, it actually broke his scapula, which is basically your shoulder blade, which is one of the most difficult bones to break, but it happened. So after the red flag, I got my GoPro because the GoPro went flying off Adam. Gave the GoPro to my wife, and I had to line back up to finish the moto. So we lined up. Brock got a better start than me, but I was pretty motivated, and I got around him really quick, and I wanted to get back to make sure Adam was okay. So it was actually only 2 laps, so finished up really quick, and then headed back over to the pits. Adam had just gotten back there. The medics couldn't really look at him because a little guy in an 85 had just broken his arm, so they were pretty preoccupied with that. So we were just with Adam. He was like, my shoulder hurts, but we weren't really worried about that. He couldn't remember anything. He was like, I can't even remember where I work, and he kept asking us, by us I mean myself and his father, where he crashed. He asked us that at least 6 times. And so eventually, like 15-20 minutes later, he did come to and started remembering everything, and asked him a bunch of questions. But so he is okay. He doesn't need surgery on his shoulder, thank goodness. So his recovery is about 6 weeks, give or take. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy end of the night, but I was glad that I was able to leave safe, and still I won the 250A overall, obviously. And so yeah, pretty crazy. So with Adam crashing and breaking himself, I pretty much have both point series wrapped up. 250A, I have a giant lead. just because other than me and that Cowie guy, nobody else has done 250A twice, and I've done it 4 times, so I only need to race it one more time to qualify for series rewards, so I think that's all I'm going to do. And then 14 plus, since Adam crashed out, I also have that one pretty much wrapped up. I just need to race one more round. And originally I was planning on that round being round 5 and then take the last 2 off, but I've got a embarrassing story for you guys. So for those of you who don't know, I am a woodworker during the week. I work full-time at a company that makes drawer boxes and doors, primarily for kitchens. Well, yesterday I was nailing in the bottom of a box with finishing nails and somehow managed to shoot one into my thumb. It was like right here, that part of my thumb, and you can see that they wanted to immobilize my thumb, so they decided to wrap my entire hand in this stupid splint and ace bandage, which as you can probably tell, I think it's ridiculous, but that's what they did. They x-rayed it, said that it was close to blood vessels, so they didn't want it to move at all. I'm actually getting surgery on it later today to get the nail removed, but the likelihood of me being able to ride tomorrow is very slim. So unfortunately, I won't be able to ride tomorrow, which means no racing footage. I'm going to primarily just focus on helping my wife do photography, and then I might even try to see if I can do some video edits for some people, but that's not guaranteed. So I will not be riding tomorrow, unfortunately. So I just wanted to give you guys a reason why there won't be any videos this week from tomorrow. One other thing I wanted to touch on before I end the video is I did order new rims for myself. The rims I was using previously that cracked were the DNA racing rims, and I had nothing but issues with those. I cracked a couple hubs last year, and now the rims are toast, so I was done with DNA. I ended up ordering the Tusk Impact rims off Rocky Mountain. I was determining either between that or the W USA Edge set of wheels, but the W's were a little more expensive, and after talking to a lot of my Moto friends, they all recommended Tusk. So that's what I went with, and I was originally going to get those on today so we could ride tomorrow, but now there's no rush, so probably wait until next week to get those on. But hopefully, if all goes to plan, I'll be able to race next weekend, August 1st, and then I probably will take the last round off, but I'm not for sure on that yet. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and checking out the video. I'll give you guys a little bit of update. It's a crazy weekend and a crazy week apparently. So thank you guys for checking out the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.